as you know, we have to do first episode of the week, first half in the book. So these are some big ones. The end of the first half power rankings, my friends. We're going to go 10 down to number one, and we're going to start at 10 with the team that hasn't been ranked this year. They play in New York, and oh my God, it is the New York Mets, 49 and 46. They weren't ranked last week. They're playing good baseball. They're playing great baseball since the day that Jorge Lopez threw his glove in the stands and then said the Mets are the worst team and he's the worst teammate. They are 25 and 12 since that moment, tied for the best in Major League Baseball with the Houston Astros, the single best in the National League. They're 8-2 so far in one-run games. They have the most runs per game in baseball at 5.92. They have 150 extra base hits, tied for the most in baseball. And since May 30th, Brandon Nimmo should have been an all-star, one of two outfielders with 20 extra base hits and 30 RBI, other than Aaron Judge. He is, or the other player being Aaron Judge. I said at the beginning of the year, as I do on Twitter or X every once in a while and say certain questions I'll answer this team. I said, who do you think could be a surprisingly good baseball team this year? I'll start the New York Mets. Man, did they not make me look good for a while, but man, are they making baseball look fun right now. Grimace the mascot, who's the McDonald's mascot, becomes a theme of their season. Grimace and Jose Iglesias' song "Oh My God" have changed around the New York Mets season and maybe franchise for the better. It has been a remarkable run that they have been on, 49 and 46, and currently in a playoff spot as the first half comes to an end. But the vibes with that Jose Iglesias "Oh My God" song, they make it's their locker room song. It's their song when they're hitting homers. They have an OMG sign in the dugout. He performed it post game on the field one time and the team stayed out there. This team has the vibes that you need to make things happen. And right now, the Mets are in the top 10 for the first time all year long. At number nine, down one spot, the Atlanta Braves by 53 and 42. Really disappointing first half if you're the Atlanta Braves. You had big expectations. You had big injuries pop up. You had underperformance pop up. They're still a good team. They're still going to make the playoffs, but this team is not the same, and they need some help at the trade deadline if they want to compete in the playoffs. The Mets, they're only, I believe, 3 games up. They're 3 games up on the New York Mets right now. So we'll see what they look like in the second half and what they're able to do at the end of this month at the trade deadline. Next up one spot to number eight, the Boston Red Sox, 53 and 42. What a fun surprise to this season. Did I see this? Absolutely not. I was heated at the Red Sox front office. I still kind of am. All of this is shout out to the players and Alex Cora and just what they've been doing out on the field. I'm still heated at the front office. This team didn't really do much in the offseason. They're not even committed to going for it at the trade deadline. They're still uncertain what they're going to do. While they're sitting here 53 and 42 and in a playoff spot, the front office can't even commit to the fan base and the players and the team and say, you know what? We're going for it. Pack the house at Fenway. We're going for it. Can't even do that. But they are in the top 10 power rankings again here at number eight. At number seven, down 2 spots, the Milwaukee Brewers. 55 and 42, 3-7 in their last 10 games. Just hasn't been pretty. They're on a pretty rough stretch of baseball right now. They've been up in the top five a couple of times this year in the power rankings, but for right now, had to slide them down a couple spots just because it hasn't been pretty for the Milwaukee Brewers. So bump them down to number seven and staying the same at number six, the Minnesota Twins, 54 and 42. A good year so far for them. Got out of the gates really slow. So to be 54 and 42, they have been one of the best teams in baseball after their slow stretch, which has been vital. What I can't say enough good things about Carlos Correa and what he's meant for that team. Obviously, a bad year last year, but we're just one year removed from from Carlos Correa being a top shortstop in the game and him hitting the market and all that stuff happening with the Mets and the Giants and then the Twins and him getting that 300 is he going to get a $300 million contract? We're 1 year removed from all that talk, and one bad year makes you say, Carlos Correa, just an average player in this day and age. No, are you kidding me? The dude's been a superstar, all-star player this year for them, hitting 300 on the year for them. I've been really impressed with his ability to just his grit out there. Honestly, I saw a game and pretty much 1 week to the next. It was honestly a couple days later. He got drilled in the hand, drilled in the wrist, ended up playing the next day, and he did that twice in the span of 2 weeks. I've been blown away by the year Carlos Correa is having. Really good for him, good for the Twins. Twins playing good baseball. Okay. Over the last week or so. So they're staying put at number 6. At number 5, down one spot, the Los Angeles Dodgers. They're 56 and 41, but they're 3 and 7 in their last 10 games. The Red Sox continue to fall a little bit in these power rankings. They do have a good record. They are 56 and 41. That is a top 5 record in the game of baseball, but they're 5 and 10 in their last 10 games. That's 28th in baseball, third worst in baseball. They're 51. They were 51 and 31 through their first 82 games. This is They have massive pitching issues. Yamamoto injury, Clayton Kershaw injury, Glasnow injury concerns, injuries have come up. They have Walker Bueller, name after name after name. They are dealing with pitching depth issues and pitching injuries, and the bullpen was never good enough to begin with to compete. As I thought, we were just chalking up. Oh, Dodgers, World Series champs. Put it up. Look at those odds. Best odds of all time. Best odds to win the World Series. They had pitching issues, and that has only gotten worse and worse and worse. I don't think the Dodgers are nowhere near as good as they need to be right now to get into the playoffs and win a World Series, which is the goal, and which was again, I think, a guarantee from Dave Roberts, who maybe should stop guaranteeing the World Series. But I'm not going to tell him what to do. He's the professional, but it's not working out well, and it's not heading down a good path this year. Will they make the playoffs? Yes. Will they win the NL West? I think yes. But are they good enough right now? No. They need some help at the trade deadline, and they need some help bad. But they have been in talks with a couple teams about pitching, and that is something that they are going to desperately need. But they are at number 5, down one spot. At number 4, back up 3 spots. They've been number 1 in the power rankings a bit. They've been number 2 a bit, and then I bumped them down to like 6 or 7 just because it wasn't pretty for a while. But they've been playing good baseball and are worthy of being back up here at number 4. The New York Yankees started the year 52 and 31 in their first 83 games. That's the 4th best record in baseball. Last 15, they're 6 and 9, which is 24th best, 7th worst in baseball. But they do have a 106 run differential. That is the single best run differential in the American League and the second best in all of baseball, behind only the Philadelphia Phillies. They're a really good team. And have they had some issues pop up? Absolutely. And that's why I felt they were worthy of dropping down to that 6 or 7 spot where I had them. But they showed me this past week by going into Baltimore, to who last week was the best team in baseball in my power rankings. We'll see where they are this week. We're getting close, but we're not there yet. They go into Baltimore, top team in baseball, and win a series there. So Yankees back up here at number 4 after a massive showing against their division rival and one of the best teams in baseball, the Baltimore Orioles. So they're 58 and 40 at the All-Star break and here at number 4. Next up, the Cleveland Guardians, 58 and 37. Not great baseball in their last 10, 4 and 6 in their last 10, but with the second best record in baseball, second best record, or tied for the second best record in baseball, second best in the American League, leading the AL Central by a good bit. I mean, this team has been a pleasure to watch. I talked about them earlier on in the show. Pitching, everything's top 10 in baseball. Hitting, everything's top 10 in baseball. And you put all that together and you got a team with the 3rd best record in all of baseball. It's not that complicated. Do you need to be the best pitching team to win? No. Do you need to have the best offense to win? No. But if you are across the board doing everything as a top 10 team, you are going to be good. Let's use the Seattle Mariners as a reference. And maybe it's not the best reference because they're currently leading the AL West and in a playoff spot, but that lead has shrunk and shrunk and shrunk, and this team can't hit. The Seattle Mariners have the worst team batting average in baseball. They have the best, if not the best, a top two or three rotation in the game of baseball. And right now, we're seeing their division chances dwindle. We're seeing their playoff chances dwindle. Unless they can add some offense, you are not going to be a playoff team with the worst team batting average in baseball. It's just not going to happen. They need help. I've also, speaking of the Red Sox, I have been furious at the Mariners front office for not adding offense. You have a rotation in their prime. You have Julio Rodriguez, not even yet in his prime, but an MVP caliber player. Build around them. I don't even know how I went down this tangent. We're talking about the Guardians. We're talking about the Guardians being number 3 in the power rankings. I honestly don't, I have no idea how I just ended up down that tangent about the Mariners, but here we are. Guardians, number 3. At number 2, down one spot from last week. The Baltimore Orioles, 3-7 in their last 10 games. That loss, that tough series at home to the New York Yankees, man, that was a statement series. That was a big series for the Orioles. The New York Yankees are the New York Yankees. They have been the team in the AL East for a long time. And I'm not saying every year, but I'm talking like decades. The New York Yankees are the team that plays in the AL East, and everybody knows it. The Baltimore Orioles are, as we speak, becoming the team in the AL East. Move over, Yankees. We know the history. We know the 27 rings, but when was the last time you won one? Half the people saying, well, I'm a Yankees fan and we have 27 rings. Half of them weren't even alive the last time the New York Yankees won a World Series ring. But here are the Baltimore Orioles. They're ready. They're here. They've been here for a year and a half to 2 years. They're going to be here for the next decade. And then you have this team neck and neck with the New York Yankees at the top of the division. Both teams are really good this year. You have a packed Camden Yards. You have the Yankees coming to town, and you almost get swept. You lose 2 of 3. It wasn't a pretty series. I love this Orioles team. I have them in the World Series. I'm going to stick with that. But I had to bump them down to number 2 after a rough weekend series and a rough last 10 games, 3-7 in their last 10. But they are 58 and 38 at the All-Star break. And at number 1, my World Series champion this year, the Philadelphia Phillies, the only team in baseball at 60 wins. They are 62 and 34. They swept the Los Angeles Dodgers last week. Again, not again, I haven't said this yet, but a tough weekend series, losing a series to the Oakland A's. But they did sweep the Dodgers beforehand. All the teams behind them not exactly playing well. That sweep of the Dodgers was huge for me. Big week. They ended up going 4-2 on the week. And with what the Orioles did, that was enough for me. This Phillies team, I think the Phillies are the best team in baseball. Forget the record, forget the play on the week and anybody else's play on the week. I think the Phillies are the best team in baseball. I know I had them. I predicted them to win the World Series this year, but aside from any of that, I just look at them right now. They've gone through injuries with Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber, and they both just come back and put on a show. The pitching has been phenomenal, phenomenal. Zach Wheeler, Ranger Suarez, Christopher Sanchez, All Star, Aaron Nola. What this rotation has done has been unbelievable. And I just think by and large, top to bottom on that roster, pitching, offense, defense, add it all together, and you have the best team in baseball, the Philadelphia Phillies, the only team at 60 or more wins, sitting at 62 and 34, leading the NL East, leading the National League, and leading all of Major League Baseball through the first half of the season. So 10-1, we go New York Mets for the first time this year. Atlanta Braves, Boston Red Sox at 8, Milwaukee Brewers, Minnesota Twins, Los Angeles Dodgers, the New York Yankees, Guardians, Orioles, and the Phillies wrap up this week's end of the first half power rankings.